Okay, round of applause for Ankit and Drummond, please. Okay, all right. So, welcome everybody to the Black Youth Can Emancipation Month closing. All right, round of applause for that, please. All right. So, I see you guys are so beautiful. I just want you guys closer. Like, you guys are very far. So if you guys can come a little bit closer into fill up the pews, the chamber. Come fill it up, please, and thank you. Yes, those at the top, y'all can come get a seat too. You guys deserve to sit. Yes. Okay. I'll just give that a quick 10 seconds. 8, 6, 5, 2. All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. So, what we're going to do right now is thank you, Ankit and Drummond, for ushering us all into the chamber. Round of applause for Ankit and Drummond, everyone. Yes, great job. Thank you guys for ushering us in. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are native. Thank you. Okay, so welcome. I just realized also I didn't introduce myself. I'm so sorry. My name is Jay, aka By Jay. I am a program lead at C Center for Young Black Professionals, but I am your host today, okay? 3 things to know about me. I love poetry and spoken word. I love community, and it's always plantain over plantain. Yeah, all right? So, yeah, plantain, right? Okay, so we'll put a pin on that. Y'all can find me if you want to rebuttal that. Okay, so thank you guys all for joining us. Before we move on, I do want to introduce Stephen Mensah. He's the Executive Director of the Toronto Youth Cabinet to usher us into the land acknowledgement for African Ancestral and Indigenous. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone, or basically good afternoon now. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land we are gathered on today and pay respect to the Indigenous peoples and African ancestors. As young people, we carry their strength and determination within us, inspiring and motivating us to continue the fight against racism, injustice, and oppression as we strive for a more equitable and youth-friendly society. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on as a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. And now, while the experiences of Indigenous peoples and those of African descent have been distinct, their parallel pursuits of self-determination, freedom, human rights, and oppression have intertwined throughout history, forging an enduring bond in the ongoing fight against systemic injustice. And now for the African ancestral acknowledgement, the City of Toronto acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashe. Ashe. Thank you, Stephen, for reciting that. All right, now we're going to get into, we're going to bring up Mayor Olivia Chow, as well as, we'll start off with Mayor Olivia Chow to give us some remarks. Thank you so much. Round of applause.
Hi. Ooh. So very pleased to be here with all of you, with my friends over at C Center, at Young Black Professionals. You do a fantastic job. Job opportunities, entrepreneurs, and getting a pathway for Black youth in Toronto. We're here to celebrate also the close of the Emancipation Month, a month where we celebrate Black resistance, Black strength, and Black resilience. And we also, of course, celebrate the contribution the Black communities have in Toronto, who continue to fight for justice and equality, give us passion, culture, dancing. Some of you might have seen me celebrating Caribbean Festival, partying aside. That's important. But you can count on me to stand up against anti-Black racism in all its forms, including systemic discrimination. We see it, and we will fight against it. Tear it down, the barriers. Lots of work for us to do. We know that. Stats. 76% Black Torontonians experience racial discrimination at least a few times a month. Think about that. Every month? Ooh, ouch, hurts, right? Impact, huge. Unemployment rate, 2 times higher than the national average. Not acceptable, right? When we talk about anti-Black racism, let's talk about the reality. Let's talk about the numbers. Let's talk about Black youth. So what's the city doing about it? We have programs like building skills through recreation. Young folks can learn valuable skills, retain meaningful jobs and work, find work. We're delivering thousands of hours of programming through enhanced youth space, serving over 189,000 young people. Okay, that's great. And this fall, we are expanding a locally responsive youth programming at 10 community recreation centers, funded by $2 million. Programs that are not designed in this building, not designed by some administrator somewhere around here. No. Programs that are designed by local heroes, which I met one over at Lawrence Heights, 2 nights ago? Well, Kinde and I were together, and we came across this fellow called Trevon Douglas, yeah? He walked from here to Niagara Falls to fundraise for his community. Yeah, imagine. And he raised, first he said 10,000, no, 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. He was at 43,000, I think, last I saw. And we saw the impact of it. They were giving out backpacks, sneakers, so young folks from Lawrence Heights in the community can go to school, first day in school, feeling proud with new stuff, okay? And he was doing it. And I said, I need people like you to design programs for all these young people, because I can see the young kids like swarming to him, right? They love him. He is the role model in that community. We want the role models like Trevon to create programs. He said, I can think of something, because he already have a following. He would be the person that can deliver these programs for young people right in Lawrence Heights. That's the kind of young Black hero we want to celebrate, that we want to lift up, that we want them to contribute to their community by investing a bit of funds for them. And of course, you know that the city confronting anti-Black racism units, who are all over there, who you're going to listen to, are dedicated to the development of a city where we have all the knowledge, skills, talents of all residents are invited to contribute, right? And we know we can't be successful without all of you in the room, because you represent amazing community organizations, you have talents, you have experience, you have passion, you're committed to change. So you're going to lift everyone up. I just want to, before I officially welcome Kimba, I want to ask you a question. Can Black youth lift up the city? I want you to answer me with a famous line that made famous by former President Barack Obama. What was it? Yes, we can. Yeah? So let me ask the question again. Let me start asking another one. Can city staff, community agencies, all of you lift up Black youth together? Come on. Okay, next one you can do bigger than that, okay? Better than that, louder than that, more passionate than that. Can Black youth lift everyone in the city? All right, one more. Can we together lift up all Black youth and everyone in the city? Yes, we can. All right, of course, yes, we can. Let's do it together. Now, I would like to officially welcome Kemba to the podium. Where are you? You over here. She and her team have been leading transformational work, starting with the city's 5-year action plan to confront anti-Black racism, at first in Toronto. Even before I became the mayor, she said, "You, candidate child, make sure you do this." I said, "Okay, all right." And then now she is developing a renewed 10-year Toronto action plan representing the longest anti-Black racism mandate and strategy in Canada. Yeah! This plan is shaped by all of you from diverse Black communities, including young people, so there are more meaningful change, substantial change. Not just change, but prosperity across the community, right? With this renewed action plan, the city aimed to deepen cultural and systemic change across the municipality, delivering better outcome for Black Torontonians. And thank you for leading the charge. Let's put your hands together and welcome Kimba. Here we are.
Thank you so very much, Mayor Chow. Thank you so very much for being here. I actually am going to turn the mic over to our wonderful host, Jay, to introduce our next speaker.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we will get to her. But one more round of applause for Mayor Olivia Chow, please. Thank you so much. All right. The next individual coming to the stage or podium, will be Don Stewart, Member of Parliament for Toronto St. Paul's. He's attending on behalf of Pierre Poilievre. Thank you. The leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition. So round of applause for Don Stewart. Thank you. Oh, right here.
Thank you, Jay. That's a hard act to follow. Thank you, Mayor Chow. You're more comfortable in this position here in this chamber than I am. But I will say that I have one of the best jobs, if not in Canada, certainly in Toronto, as a newly elected MP and as a conservative politician and the only one in Toronto. I get invited to everything, and I'm really happy about that because it gives me a chance to get exposed to things that normally I wouldn't. And why is that important? Because it gives me a chance to go out into my network of people and talk about the good things that people at CEE are doing and other places in Toronto. So thank you, sincerely for inviting me today. I'm here on behalf of our leader, Pierre Poilievre, as mentioned, and unfortunately he couldn't be here, but here I am. He did send some remarks, and I'd like to relay those to you here, if I could. He says, on behalf of Canada's Common Sense Conservatives, it's an honor to send my best wishes to the CEE Centre for Young Black Professionals and everyone gathered for this afternoon's Black Youth Can Mixer. For generations, Black Canadians have contributed so many of their skills and talents to building our common home. Your community has positively impacted every sector of Canada's economy and culture. I know that because I was at Randy's Patties last week for the grand opening, and that certainly is near and dear to me. I've been going to Randy's for a number of years. It was great to see it reopen. And your businesses have helped Canadians from all walks of life bring home powerful paychecks. Events like this one offer a much-needed hope to Canadians going through hard times. Many families are struggling to make ends meet. Parents are struggling to give their children the opportunities needed to thrive. Record numbers of people are forced to turn to food banks just to get by. Conservatives are working hard to put an end to the problems causing all this pain. We will axe the taxes that are making life expensive so that families can bring home more of their paychecks every month. We'll fix the budget to improve the services Canadians rely on and ensure that our country is strong for the next generation. By working with organizations like yours, we'll bring home a country we know and love, a place where our youth can unlock their potential and thrive in the greatest country on earth. I would like to present this certificate to Agape and the CE Center for Young Black Professionals here on the occasion of the Black Youth Can Mixer. Congratulations on a job well done. Thank you. And thank you, Jay, for yielding the podium to me for that short period of time. Let me hand this to Jay.
Yes. Yes. Ah, wow. Amazing. Wow. Ah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Sir Don Stewart. Yes, now we're going to go into, last but not least, remarks from Patrice Barnes, member of Provincial Parliament for the town of Ajax and parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Labor. So Patrice, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. I just want to first of all say, he said my name is Patrice Barnes, MPP for Ajax, but I'm intruding a little bit in the Toronto area because we own all this. I just want to say congratulations to Agape for the amazing work that you've done. You have inspired so many, and I remember the journey where you started and had a vision of this, and to be able to empower young people and to really bring them into an area where they can be prosperous and create professions that they can get in. I'm really thrilled about the journey that you're on, and I congratulate you. And fix your crown, girl, you'll continue to do great things. Emancipation, right? We talk about emancipation. It's not just a milestone, really. It is a journey. It's a journey of conversations. It's a journey of where we want to be. And it's a journey of visions. And I'm really proud of the fact that now we're having a voice and we can gather in spaces where we normally wouldn't be. And what part of that conversations was really beginning to own spaces that we don't usually own and to be in spaces that we really aren't. And so I really want to talk about some of the things that we've done from the provincial level. I remember when I was part of the consultation to write the Black Youth Action Plan many years ago. And I've been so proud to see some of the things that have really come through that, the empowerment of our youth and giving them opportunities to think about how to do things differently. And my thing, having been involved in this journey of equity and diversity, has really been interesting because we've seen so much growth in so many different places. But what I worry about with our youth oftentimes is, I grew up under the mantra that you can do it, you gotta work twice as hard to do it. And it doesn't matter what the obstacles are, it is an opportunity to cross over that bridge and get to it. And so I often wanna tell our youth that, don't lose that. I mean, we talk about that as being wrong, of us having not to work twice as hard to gain the same. But it is also a thing that have really been a central part of our success. It's been a part of what have driven us to be successful, because we know that we have to not just own the space, we sometimes have to kick the door down. And so if you're not really strong and willing to kick the door down sometimes, never think that anybody is owed to you. We have to work hard to get everything that we have gained. And so I want you to never lose, it's not right, but never lose track of that, because It is what makes us different. It's what brought our ancestors from, losing an arm because they want to read and write, or to cross over the river because they want to escape slavery. It is things that have been an integral part of our DNA for a very long time. And so I don't want us to lose that because we know it's not right and we think it's not something that we shouldn't do. So this is a journey, and I'm so thrilled about some of the places that we have come and how far we've gone. Through our government, we have expanded the Youth Action Plan funding in so many ways. That is funding organizations like Agape's, but also through our SDF funding, which we've worked in labor. We've gotten the opportunity to really empower Black organizations around empowering and treating youth and training them for the jobs of today and really of tomorrow. So now I'm so glad to be here, and I just want to thank you and congratulate you on this event. This mixer should not end but continue. And also to celebrate, and we will have our Black history in schools in 2025, which is an amazing thing that I think is so great. And when I listen to the amazing Jean Augustine, she says, never forget the people that have come before. Never forget the sacrifices that were made before. Because even if you're doing amazing things now, somebody had to lay their part down and be less of a person so you can stand. So continue to grow, continue to work. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. One more round of applause for Patrice Barnes, please. Okay, so thank you all to the MPs, MPPs, and Mayor Olivia Chow also for all those remarks. So now I would love, and I am, going to direct your attention to the projector. We're going to show an NBA Impact video, just showing the representation of Black youth within the city, within communities, and the importance of developing them, nourishing them, and nurturing them within the communities in order to make them important figures within the community and within the city, right? So yeah, you guys can go ahead and play that video. Thank you.
It's an alarming number. 24 people have been gunned down in Toronto so far this year.
Police are investigating a number of separate stabbings that have happened across the city.
This terrorizing criminal activity has to stop.
With more than 250 shootings reported
So far this year, 5 shootings have been reported since Monday alone. One of them leaving a 16-year-old boy dead.
What does it mean to be a young Black professional? It feels like a paradox where society tries to put you in one box, but you feel like you belong in another. It's not something I can easily describe, but if I could describe it, I'd say it's as close to freedom as you can get. It means that I can change how the world sees me, but more importantly, how I see myself. Where I'm from, life can be complicated. But when I'm at the Center for Young Black Professionals, I see my future, and it's brilliant. I'm always encouraged to realize my full potential. That's why I keep going back. Like I said, it's not something I can easily describe. It's this feeling of being lost and then found. Careers, education, empowerment. These were the missing pieces to my life's puzzle. At sea, your past failures dissolve, and the weight of tomorrow gets lost in the wonder of who you really are. But that's not even the best part. The best part is that I'm not doing this alone. There's an entire team behind me dedicated to propelling me forward. My name is F.A. Nwori, and I am an alumnus at the C Center for Young Black Professionals. The C Center is more than just a building. It's a community. It's where I discovered my strengths, overcame my challenges, and found my purpose. Today, I'm proud to be working at the organization as a placement student, helping others like me find their path and achieve their dreams. It's a place where potential is realized and where we as Black youth can rise above societal expectations. Together, we're creating a future where our success is defined by our abilities and aspirations, not by the limitations imposed on us by others. At C, for young Black professionals, our potential meets opportunity.
Yes. What a lovely, 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 beautiful video. Just speaking to the work that C Center for Young Black Professionals embarks in, right? This just continuing to encourage and believe and have faith in the youth, and especially Black youth within communities that come from gun violence, crime, broken households, so many different factors and social determinants that makes them redirect from what their original passion was, right? So organizations like C, like so many others within the city, will uplift the youth and encourage them and provide that support that they really need in order to become more than the product of their environment, right? So very important. So thank you guys for watching that. So with that being said, I will call up to the podium our executive director, Agapi Jasese, to please come up, yes, to give us some remarks.
To use this. Okay. That means I have to stay in one spot. How's everyone doing? Okay, now I know why people are like looking at us sideways. So how's everyone feeling? Okay, good. I love that. Well, welcome everyone. I really, really appreciate all of you coming out and celebrating our Black Youth Can Mixer. I'm gonna explain a little bit more for those of you who don't know. What we do at C Center for Young Black Professionals. We have been around going on 13 years now. We have been serving Black youth. We do workforce development, and the mission of the organization is for Black youth to become financially prosperous, live high quality lives, and contribute to the advancement of Canada. And we know that oftentimes that sounds simple, but it actually is quite hard for our community. And so that's what the mission at C is, and we do that through workforce development. So looking at how can we get Black youth from the back of the unemployment line, which I think we sit at 17.5% unemployment as of June in this country, which is disgusting. And we try and figure out how can we get from the back of the unemployment line to the front of the unemployment line. And that is by strategically looking at where are there labor gaps in this country. I see some gentlemen in uniform, and so thank you for your service, but also acknowledging that where are there gaps in this country where we do not show up. Not only not where we don't show up, but where are there labor gaps in this country that all Canadians need us to step into in order for our economy to run. And so we do that in 5 industries: information technology, trades, entertainment, finance, and hospitality. Those are the industries we do, and we run programs between 2 to 6 programs in any one of those areas. And so, in case you didn't know a little bit about C, now you know, we do these Black Youth Can Mixers. About a year ago, we created a campaign alongside Publicis Group that we worked on for a very long time, and we came up with Black Youth Can. So, yes, very much like an Obama, we're trying to keep in the family. And so Black Youth Can was a campaign that we created, and we plastered this entire city with 9 very talented alumni from our programs, and we created hoodies, which you will find upstairs, that really is an opportunity to take back the hoodie. When young people are wearing hoodies, there's negative connotation to that. That is our opportunity to take it back and actually put who they really are on the backs on their backs, quite literally, as they walk in spaces and are able to be seen who they really are, that they're actually very talented, they're very brilliant, they bring a lot to the table, but when people look at them, all they actually see is a hoodie and danger or whatever negative connotation that for some reason we have trained our minds to think of. And so that's us trying to reclaim and change the narrative of who Black youth really are and what they actually can do. The inception of C came from the Black Youth Youth Challenge Fund. And really the purpose of that was a creation of over 100 initiatives, and C and, Alika's in the room, so NIA Center for the Arts, as well as C are two of the organizations that are still standing of those initiatives that were created, and they were called legacy initiatives. And really the purpose of it was, can young people solve the problems that their communities are facing? Who can solve it better than us? And so we really walk with that spirit as our organization grows and as we're doing this work, we keep that at the foundation. How are we going to allow our young people to solve the problems, not just in our communities, but for this country? And I think oftentimes all Canadians forget that we have major labor gap problems. We have your groceries, all the things that we deem as problems and politicians talk often about are all solvable by people coming into the country, like our parents most likely did, and maybe even ourselves coming into the country, and also young people. Those are who is going to solve our problems. And so instead of looking, but for some reason, we are seen as a problem and not the solution. And so I really, in the work that we do, encourage our young people to see themselves as that, as a solution and as the way forward. And that's why we have these youth can mixers. So every quarter we try and have one, and we bring professionals and young people together. And at the end, I'm gonna have an ask, because I'm never gonna bring you all into a room without an ask. But really it's an opportunity for us to get more people to surround us. As we celebrate Emancipation Month, and it comes to a close, CABR, thank you so much for all of your support and also sponsoring this event. But last night, as we ended Emancipation Month, CABR hosted a dinner at C with leaders. All leaders who I fangirl over all the time, because I'm just and the fact that I'm sitting at a table with them, I felt very hype. But a lot of them, so Sipo, for instance, who's in the room now, was at that dinner. And a lot of the conversation was just around the 10-year plan for CABR and what that would look like, but also how listening to the elders in the room and their experiences and their fights really grounded me to understand that as emancipation is a journey, as we heard today, and that the fact that it looks very different, it might look different, but it all looks the same in many ways. And so it's a journey that we need to come together. And I think Sipo at the dinner said, as elders, we need to be passing on the baton. I very much felt like I was sitting beside you. So I was like, where's the baton? But I think we have to hold that spirit and understanding that no one is going to solve our problems. Nobody is coming to save us. I promise you, I come before you knowing loud and clear, government is not going to solve our problems. The allies are not going to solve our problems. We ourselves need to wrap around ourselves, and we need to support each other. And these Black Youth Can Mixers is a call to action for us to come together and say, let's pass on the baton to the younger generation. Let's empower them. Let's give them the resources, the access, the skills, in order for them to take the baton and run with it, and so that we can actually see generational wealth. At C, we are not concerned about immediate. Yes, those things are great. Short-term outcomes are very important. But what we are trying to do here is change the outcomes, not for our immediate members, of course that's going to happen, but we're looking at after those young people have children, what are those children's outcomes look like? What are those children's outcomes going to be looking like? We've been around for 12 years. We can now measure and see the outcomes of the members who graduated 5 years ago, what we can predict now, what the outcomes of their children are going to be. And that is what we're looking for. We're looking for generational change. And so when we invite you out to these events, when we are talking about the work that we're doing, it's really for our community to, this is a very timely kind of setup of this room where it's in a circle. We really need you to wrap around us and our young people and support them to be able to pass the baton down so that they can run the race. And so I thank you for being here, and I think one of the things that I definitely also walked away with last night is Dr. Jean Augustine was in the room, and she said, we don't need allies, we need accomplices. And I am here in front of you asking all of you to become co-conspirators, accomplices with me, get in the getaway car, do what we gotta do so that our young people will have a chance. In a city where we are seeing extreme unemployment, we're seeing extreme violence, and that is not what they deserve. They deserve to be invested in. Our young people deserve to be told that they can do it, and they deserve to be seen for who they really are. So thank you for being here. I hope that you learn a lot about our organization and what we're doing. At the end, I'm gonna have an ask, so please make sure that you stay so that you can say yes. And please meet our members, meet the things that we're doing, learn about the things that we're doing in our programs, and chat to our staff about what it is that we are here to do. So again, thank you to CABR for all of your support. Thanks to the city for allowing us to use this space. And thanks to all of you for showing up, because if you guys don't show up, then, you know, what do we? Thanks.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Agapi, for those remarks. Yeah, this is important, right? And it's not a one person or one organization job. It takes the collective. It takes all of us to really drive home this mission, right? So with that being said, lovely. We are now going to bring up to the podium Ms. Kemba Biam, the manager of the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Unit, to also provide some remarks for us. Thank you so much, Kemba. You're amazing.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to invite everyone just to take a deep breath, and we're going to hold space for Elder Louis March, who just transitioned recently. I know that if he was still on this plane, he would be here taking pictures, sitting somewhere here, so we give thanks. Thank you to the mayor for sharing remarks, MP Don Stewart, MP Patrice Barnes, who I think had to leave. I bring you these greetings on behalf of our executive director, Denise Andrea Campbell, and our director, Dr. Akwatu Kenti. It's really an honor to be here on the last day of Emancipation Month, which was first proclaimed by the City of Toronto back in 2019. And what we're honoring also is that tomorrow is the International Day for People of African Descent in the last year of the UN International Decade for People of African Descent. And we also honor that this month is Black August. Black August is about our incarcerated folks, particularly political prisoners who were fighting so that we could be here and be present here today. And what most people don't know is, despite the fact that we've been honoring, commemorating Emancipation Month since 2019, we always ensure that the last event is focused on youth, because we know that youth are the future. My sister Agapi spoke to the dinner that we had last night, and it occurred to me as the leaders and elders across the room were speaking, many of them were your age when they first started doing this work. So we know how important the groundwork is for youth to be at the table, to come to government, to come to organizations like the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Unit, and really challenge us on how we advocate and move forward for you. You've met some of your MPs, the mayor was here. I invite you to contact your councillor, contact your MP, contact your MPP en masse demand change, because they are going to listen to you. To that end, we know that it's important for us at the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Unit to partner with key organizations like C. Thank you so much. They are wonderful. Anyone who knows me in this room is I don't dole out compliments lightly, so thank you so very much, and it's an honor. One of the key things that the mayor spoke to is that we have a 10-year action plan that we are preparing for. And in doing so, we partnered with organizations like C, like Delta Family Resource, like INAGBI, to make sure that we had the youth voice present when we put forward our recommendations and actions. The first time you folks will be able to see it is on October 3rd, right in the Rotunda at 5 p.m. This is my personal invitation to you to come and join us. We will have food, just so that you know. And then the second part, which is just as important, if not more important, is when we have our draft recommendations and actions, we want to, if you cannot be here physically, ask the depute, tell committee, tell executive committee how important a plan such as this for the next 10 years will benefit and impact your communities. We know that Black youth need more funding, need more supports that are culturally responsive, focusing on mental health, focusing on employment, and of course, focusing on food security. I want to recognize our fire personnel up there. Thank you so very much for all that you do. We really, really honor you. So I know that Agapi is going to have a call. I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. When you meet someone else, especially a young Black person, tell them that there is a Confronting Anti-Black Racism unit at the City of Toronto. Tell them that they need to get more involved. Go to www.toronto.ca/CABR to find out more about how you can get involved. Thank you so very much. Happy Emancipation Month. For the Trinities in the room, happy Independence for us. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jay to continue this warm space.
Thank you so much, Kemba. Okay, don't you guys feel like we're warm? It's lovely in here. Anyways, how we feeling? Real quick, how we feeling? Are you guys okay? Are you guys like present, listening? Okay. So what we're gonna get into next is a panel discussion. And who's moderating it will be Shakita Thompson. Round of applause for Shakita. Okay, so Shakita Thompson is the Senior Director of Equity at EVA's initiative. Thank you, EVA's. All right. Let me just get your bio for you because I want to honor you. All right, so sorry for the wait. Shakita is a seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience in community development and equity. She has spearheaded impactful initiatives across nonprofits, government, and multi-sectoral organizations. As the Senior Director of Equity at EVA's Initiative for Homeless Youth, Shakita strategically embeds and oversees equity efforts. Her expertise spans housing and shelter operations, including previous oversights in programs like EVA's Phoenix and Youth Belong, a 65-unit transitional support program for Black youth. Shakita has also trained and guided leaders in navigating anti-racism initiatives across federal, provincial, and municipal government levels. Oof. Additionally, she serves on Ontario's Ministers' Patient and Family Advisory Council, focusing on healthcare issues. Her work is centered on driving transformative change at EVA's and the broader community. So round of applause for Shakita Thompson, please. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Okay, so we're gonna have to try harder than that. How's everyone doing? Okay. All right, I'm also gonna welcome the other panelists to make your way onto the stage. I know that there is Erin, who is gonna be joining us, and as folks are coming, I'm also gonna be reading the amazing bio of all of the other panelists. And today we really wanna talk about equitable working environments, and how do we drive that? How do we co-design that in a way for meaningful change? Okay. So welcoming to the stage, first and foremost, is Erin Daly-Reed. Erin Daly Reid, with over 15 years experience in social and public service, Erin Daly Reid is dedicated to crafting people-centered development programs and leading strategic communication efforts. Her work drives positive change and creates inclusive environments for Black professionals in Toronto. Known for her innovative approach to community and equity, Erin combines her expertise with genuine passion for fostering meaningful connections. Outside of her work, she enjoys exploring the city's diverse cultural scene and drawing on inspiration from everyday moments. Please give a warm welcome to Erin Daly Reid. All right. All right, and our next panelist joining us for this conversation is Station Frederick. All right, give her a round of applause. Station is the recipient of several awards, including one of Canada's top 100 powerful women by women, Executive Network, and top 10 women's worth by L'Oreal Canada. She has over 20 years of experience in the field of community and program development, internationally and in Canada. So around Ottawa, Greater Toronto Region, including Region of Peel. She is the founder of Braids for AIDS, a nonprofit organization to raise awareness of HIV in the African, Caribbean, and Black communities in Canada, and internationally through a culturally relevant practice of hair braiding. Additionally, she is the current executive director of Weston's Frontline Center, a youth charity in one of the poorest ridings in Toronto that she has grown from the verge of closing to a multi-million-dollar organization. Give her a round of applause. It has been ranked a Good to Give charity by Toronto Foundation and top 5 youth engagement and youth advancement charity by Charity for the past 2 years. All right. Third, we're going to welcome Jonathan Galt from Eva's Print Shop to the stage. Jonathan is an experienced business development and strategy professional, currently leading Eva's Print Shop, a social enterprise in Toronto that supports youth experiencing homelessness. He excels in operations management, strategic planning, and client acquisition. Jonathan has also served as an instructor at Toronto Metropolitan University and has held roles in print management at St. Joseph's Communication and Acuity Innovations Solutions. He is recognized for his contributions to social enterprise, earning the Community Leader of the Year award at the Canadian Print Awards in 2018. Give a warm welcome to Jonathan. And next, welcoming to the stage, all the way from Trinidad, right? Elder Sipo Kwaku. Sipo Kwaku recently has ended his 22-year career at Woodgreen Employment Services. In 2002, Sipo served as the Director of Homelessness and Housing, HELP, Mental Health, and Developmental Services. In 2004, Sipo was appointed the Director of Employment and Immigrant Services. From 2019 to 2021, Sipo oversaw the youth services portfolio and has recently retired from the Director of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging at Woodgreen Services. Throughout his career, his passion and commitment has been strengthening the capacity of young people of African descent to be the best that they can be. In 1998, SIPO was initiated as the African-Centered Rites of Passage Program practitioner from the National Rites of Passage Institute in Cleveland, Ohio. In 2007, SIPO introduced Rites of Passage into youth programming components at Woodgreen. Anyone who's been through the rites of passage work knows it's no joke, and it's such a pivotal transformational program. SIPO's passion is all about Africans and has been on an introspective journey of learning and reclamation, journey of African indigenous culture and practices. SIPO's cultural material line is Yoruba and paternal line is Ashanti. SIPO was born in Trinidad and Tobago, the West Indies, and attained his master's in community economic development with his BS in science in the United States and Canada, respectfully. All right, welcome, SIPO. And last but certainly not least, we want to welcome to the stage Stephen Mensah, who is the executive director of the Toronto Youth Cabinet. Stephen serves as the executive director of the Toronto Youth Cabinet, representing over 623,000 young Torontonians. Under his leadership, the TYC has successfully influenced multiple policy changes in our education system that has benefited Ontario's 2 million young people and students, such as ensuring free menstrual products in schools, and the TYC has led the initiatives addressing community safety and youth unemployment, securing an additional $15 million for youth programming and establishing 5 new youth hubs in Toronto. Yeah. Stephen was recognized by Toronto Life as one of the Toronto's rising stars in 2023. Okay. Can we give a round of applause for our amazing panelists? Excellent. And so as we sit here and really consider Emancipation Month, thinking about how do we lead forward, how do we honor our community, we have 5 key questions that we're gonna be asking our panelists to really consider, right? How do we do this work, do it well, do it with community, listening to some of the calls to action. And so we really wanted to kind of lead and get into our first kind of major piece in programming. We wanted to the first piece is, what's our panel about? And we have a long kind of title on our panel. But first and foremost, we wanted to know, in today's rapid and evolving working environment and in creating spaces, how do we lead cultures and environment where young people feel safe and respected? How do we go beyond the necessary goal of designing and sustaining workspaces that go beyond superficial diversity measures? Our panelists will discuss strategies for fostering inclusion at every level of an organization, from leadership to frontline staff, and the importance of cultivating a culture that embraces and celebrates diversity. I'm going to stop there because it's quite a long title, but in the essence of time, really wanting to engage the panelists in this conversation. And so the first question that we have, that I'm going to turn it over to, I think we have Station up, who's going to kind of take us away on this first question, is, when we're thinking about, going beyond superficial diversity measures, Station, what practical strategies can organizations implement to move beyond diversity measures and create genuine, equitable, inclusive working environments?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for being here. Really honored to be here. Before I talk about sort of strategies, there are a few areas within an organization that I think that the leaders of the organization, those who are making decisions, really need to think about. And I usually look at these within the P's. So what is your purpose around diversity, equity, and inclusion? Why are you doing it? Is it a matter of being able to sign the Black North Initiative and not do the concrete work, right? What are you doing this for? And really making sure that the work that you're doing is really about who it's going to be impacting, and that's the young people. So looking at the purpose, looking at the policies, processes, programs, and the people. And so using those sort of P's and looking at strategies within it. So if it's to kind of give some practical pieces into that, it's to look at your policies. How are they affecting youth? That's one piece. For example, it could be things such as, does your organization allow for flexible work schedule? Many of the young people within my organization, even as staff, are young people. I would say about 95% of the staff consider themselves as young people. And so, what are we doing? And some of the things are, yes, is that flexible sort of work schedule. So yes, you might have been at full time. Now you're needing to go back to school. Are we able to accommodate that? And bringing the resources to do that. But then also how it's impacting like Black youth. So yes, there's youth, but how it's impacting Black youth. Many young people Black young people are facing, issues around, poverty, even while they're working. So you have that sort of precarious employment. And so what are some things within your organization that you can do? At Frontlines, if I see that there's a young person, a young staff that is, coming to work a bit disheveled, we have a clothing program for staff. And so those are some things in which you can think about to, again, even create programs. Do you have scholarship programs within your organization? The processes from, hiring, onboarding, the language that you're using within the job posting, in hiring, etc. How are they making people feel included in their then even when you look at people, a lot of times, again, when you look at diversity, people are thinking about the number of people we've hired, the number of Black youth we hired, but it's how people are feeling within your organization. We have a platform at Frontlines, which is called Work Vibe. And we also try to use software that our young people could relate to, even the staff. So the program is called Work Vibe. So we want to check out the vibes of the office at Frontlines. And every week we ask them a question, whether it is, do you feel that you have a good relationship with your manager? And so, are you feel that your voices are being heard? But it's a lot of people at time, diversity is sort of think about what's the relationship with the person you have a power dynamic with in terms of your manager. But inclusion is how you feel amongst with your peers, right? And so do you feel that you are sort of treated fairly when it looks at your peers? Does your peers treat you right? That's also part of inclusion. And so a next piece around diversity and inclusion is are you tracking those metrics? Again, not just about the number of people in your organization, but how they're feeling in your organization, and then the retention piece. How are you also, engaging in professional development of Black youth within your organization? Again, a lot of our Black youth, even staff, have troubles, financial troubles to go back to university. But is there opportunities within your organization to bringing people to do training in various areas? My staff all got bookkeeping training. Even though they're programming staff, they got financial training, HR training. So what are the things that you opening up for young people that they would not be able to go off to college, and they're able to sort of explore roles? Frontlines grew a lot, of course, during COVID, and we've sort of had to change our sort of our structure. So before, a lot of staff was directly reporting to me. Now there is a directed team. But of course, creating things like open door policy and giving young people special assignments. So every year, one junior staff will be able to be directly reporting to me, so that they would have that opportunity to learn what I'm doing and to get opportunities. So those are some of the strategies I would say around, true diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I really love that piece around the P's, around like, how do we really think about the different ways of doing that in tangible ways? As a key follow-up to that, I want to jump things over to Jonathan. Can you share some of the ways that young people, you work in the print shop where young people oftentimes access, full disclosure, we're both from EVA, so I know the print shop very well. But, how do you cultivate meaningful engagement for young people who come through some of the working spaces and leading in some of the programs? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Shaquita. For those of you who don't know, I work at EVA's Print Shop, which is based out of EVA's Phoenix. It's a social enterprise. Our business is printing, but it also goes to support a training program for young people called JPEG, which is called Jumpstarting Print and Graphics. It's not all print focused. We do a lot of training in Adobe Creative Suite, anything you need to learn to be like in advertising, be a creative professional, those sort of things. But I think there's a few ways we go about getting feedback from our youth. One is, of course, we do lots of surveys, some anonymous, some not anonymous. I love the, work vibes. Definitely have to get that software. Also, when we're making changes to our program and our business, we have a youth advisory committee, which is integral to getting feedback, not just to know if we're doing a good job, but also to where should we be going with our business? Where should we be going with our program? The way our program is set up too is we'll have young people starting our program, but they'll also be there at the same time when youth have been with us for maybe 2 or 3 months. So this allows a lot of opportunities for peer mentorship. They don't have to hear from us what's good about this program. They can hear about it from other youth, who then become sort of natural mentors for them. And then the other thing I think is important is to have shared goals with the youth in your business and in your program. When we ask where are you going to be in 5 years, the standard interview question that everyone's asked, we're not just curious. Let's put a plan together. Can we do that here? What skills can you learn here? How can that help you get to those next steps? So I think those are the 3 main ways we go about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm hearing Station talked about scholarship opportunities, key places, work vibes. I'm hearing that is a really great tool to check out around how the culture is really showing up. Peer-to-peer supports, Jonathan is talking about how are we making a plan and setting that goal in place. And then I'll circle back at the end as we got into this piece, circling back to some of the work that we've been thinking about and ruminating about at EVA's, but really wanting to think about moving this needle around meaningful engagement for young people. So I love that piece that you talked about, the action items that young people can take around goals, because oftentimes we build relationship with young people and they'll come back and find you 10 years later, right? It's not just an engagement that ends after the program ends, right? Oftentimes you have to show up meaningfully and young people will continue that. So Sipo, I want to take this next question over to you. So we've talked about sometimes the kind of structure pieces. We've talked about activities that can happen in a day-to-day program. Can you talk to us organizationally, right? In the work that you've led, in the work that you've done, can you talk to us about how do we drive meaningful culture change in an organization? Because many of these things don't stand on its own, right? It has to be cultivated in an environment that is ready and has a willingness and a readiness for change, right? Especially when we're talking about the impacts that it has on Black youth. So can you talk to us about what does the level of readiness needs to look like in an organization to really drive some of this change so it's sustained and it's not a black square in your Twitter or your Instagram post, right? So Sipo, take it away.
That's a mouthful.
It really is.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Sipo Kwaku. So I think from the get-go, young people in particular, yes, we can. Like, don't ever forget that we can as young people. So when you enter an organization, one of the first things that you do is you submit a resume. And, for those of us who are able to pass that initial process of screening, one of the questions we need to ask is, what is your equity strategy? Like, what are you doing right now in this organization to really make sure that we are moving towards a more equitable space? And I know a lot of us might figure, like, if I ask that question, I ain't gonna get a job, right? So, but you gotta ask the question. You have to ask that question, because what it does, it puts the people who are interviewing you on notice that, do we have an equity plan to include people who historically have been at the margins? For me, if I'm on a panel and I hear that question, I want you. I want you to be part of this process, this team. And the second thing is that leaders in organization, be it a manager, a director, a senior leader in the organization, they need to confront introspectively that whole notion of power. Like, what does power mean for me and for the people who I am going to be overseeing? Nobody likes to deal with it, but power is there. You need to understand the role that your power, the power that you hold, is going to impact, particularly young people. And young people needs to be able to ask that question and not be fearful of saying, well, like, if I ask this question, am I going to survive in this environment? So at each level, frontline, manager, senior manager, director, senior director, we need to understand that we all exist within a supremacist system, right? That's what it is. There is supremacy at each level. And I think we need to actually confront that. Young people need to understand that. Is there an opportunity for me to progress in this environment? I know a lot of organizations, they stop at diversity. Oh, we've got a whole set of people, very diverse, good to go. No, that's not even the beginning. We need to be able to really articulate that. What is this diversity going to do for the services that we are here to provide at each level? So I know in organizations that I've had, there's a lot of diversity at the bottom, but as you elevate up to the top, that whole notion of diversity disappears, right? And as young people entering organizations, you need to, you need to ask the question, what does it look like as we elevate ourselves from the front line to the most senior levels of the organization? And oftentimes, those people at the top, because they've never heard those questions or inquiries, they're warm to it, but they've never heard it. So I'm encouraging young people to ask the questions, plant the seeds, because often the people at the top, they're good people. It's just that they've never had an opportunity to really consider those questions. I'm going to stop there.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. All right, so I see a hot pursuit on that. Station wants to jump in. And, before the people them come for me for the time, right?
So, okay, no, I just want to say this. So I love what was said there. I think diversity, equity and inclusion, unless it's put on people's performance,
yes,
it's really not going to be like change. So people, when it impacts your coin, when it impacts your bonus, you need to put it on people's performance. So that's that piece. And, the second piece with around like culture change, like this is the wave of the future. Your clients are asking for it, your staff are asking for it. And so if you don't do it, you are going to be losing out. So I think just organizations need to know that.
Thank you. Absolutely. So, some key takeaways around, all of this operates in a supremacist system. How are we embedding it in performance evaluation so it's meaningful, it has resonance, and having young people, sometimes being able to ask those things within that. And so I also think as a young person, sometimes it's intimidating going into a space and being able to navigate the dynamics that exist in a particular culture if it wasn't designed with looking at the folks who are most impacted on the margins and pulling them into the center. And so with that, Stephen, I want to turn it over to you for our next question. What are some of the challenges that young workers in the working environment face doing the work that you do and seeing a lot of young people? What are some of those challenges, if you can talk a little bit to us about that as we kind of close?
For sure. Some of the three pieces I'll discuss are, that experience piece. Even just trying to get a job in the first place. Young people obviously are reinforcing the fact that you need experience to get a job, but you can't get a job without experience. And so it's this cycle that puts disproportionately Black youth at a disadvantage because many of them do not have that benefit of gaining that workplace experience early, unlike their peers. I think a second piece as well to highlight is that mentorship piece is really key. I think when we talk about organizations and companies, the need to ensure that there's representation like that was spoken to, not just at the bottom, but at all levels of that company, but also to ensure that Black youth have someone that they can see themselves in a specific role, but who can also relate to their own experiences and realities. I think one thing that I did not have the benefit of, but thankfully I've been able to be of benefit to other young people, is to be their advocate, is to someone who can advocate on their behalf, who can guide them, who can provide them with advice, mentorship. This summer, one thing I was able to do, young people are looking for jobs across the city, and so I was able to utilize my connections to literally call employers and be like, hey, can you hire this young person, and so on and so forth. And I was able to get about 5 young people jobs, although there's many young people who need employment. But I'm really proud of that fact because I know I myself did not benefit from such type of advocacy and connection and guidance. And so I think that's something that is so key for Black youth who are trying to enter the workforce, is looking for those good mentors who look like them. I think a third piece that so oftentimes we neglect is just the mental health. And we know young people are disproportionately facing depression, anxiety, burnout, in enormous rates, especially post-pandemic. And the reality is, applying for a job for many young people it's a lot of work. The stresses of applying for a job, the reality that you might not hear back from an employer, or if you apply, you won't get that interview. And so I think really, giving ourselves that grace, but also recognizing that young people are really, they're stressed. I always say the kids are not all right, unfortunately, in this city and country, and it really reinforces the need for employers and workplaces to create more, mentally sound and provide mental health resources and whatnot to employers, employees, but also to specifically young people to cater to their needs and experiences. I think a last piece I'll touch on is, a key solution that we can take on is job placement, paid internships, workplace development, apprenticeships. Unfortunately, young people don't want to do things for free anymore, and I'm key on volunteerism, but ultimately our youth need money, and so really ensuring that as government, as society, how can we ensure that we're directly matching young people with employers, not just in precarious jobs, but in private sector, in different industries that are really going to expose them to new realities. And so I think if we take on these steps, we're going to be better off. And I think the last, challenge that a lot of young Black folks are telling myself is just that microaggression piece, wanting to be their authentic self. I think young people are not willing to put up with being in environments that are going to disrespect them, that are not going to be conducive to their mental health. And so ensuring that workplaces are going to allow our Black youth to be their authentic selves and thrive and succeed.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, And so, before we kind of move into after our next panelist takes the last question, we're going to open the floor up quickly for some Q&A, a couple of questions. So if there's some questions that folks have been ruminating on, there is a short opportunity to ask. But we want to take it into Erin for that question is, so we've heard a lot about culture change, right? What it takes to do culture. What are some of the, different strategies? Can you talk to us a little bit about what is the importance of policy within organizations, and what are the ways that we can build equitable policies to leverage and dismantle systemic barriers to inclusion within the workplace, particularly for Black youth?
Well, that's a great question. To answer it, I think we first need to clarify what we mean by equitable policies. So these policies are designed to break down obstacles and barriers that prevent marginalized groups from fully participating and succeeding. So it focuses specifically on resolving issues for youth to ensure that they have the opportunity to feel included, and also that they have the opportunity to also contribute to their fullest potential. So to consider a fact, we know that 1.3% of Black professionals in senior executive roles, they are 1.3% of seniors in, 1.3% of seniors in executive roles just a moment. Let me just take my time.
It's okay, take a breath.
Yeah, so we know that professionals make up only 1.3% of senior executive roles in Ontario. And despite being a much larger part of the workforce, we know that this is a stark and shocking disparity. So, and this highlights the need for intentional actions and meaningful change. So imagine these changes as making sure everyone is not just invited to the dinner party, but also has a seat at the table and gets to enjoy the meals as well, and also gets the chance at hosting those dinner parties as well. So this means creating environments that where everyone is genuinely included. So tools like mandatory equity training, employee resource groups, and safe reporting channels as well. So this all helps to build an inclusive culture. So additionally, using data-driven approaches like equity or employee engagement, as well as workforce equity surveys. So this provides evidence to then highlight disparities and guide targeted actions. So targeted actions could be like partnering with community partners and developing opportunities and mentorship opportunities as well, and just inclusive strategies for recruitment and retention. So, and of course, it's important to have a feedback loop and accountability to drive continuous improvement. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach, like we know this, just as businesses customize services for their employees. Equitable policies should be adaptable, right? They should be adapted to meet the needs of diverse folks. So these ideas are just starting points for how we can get started within organizations, and they can help us also create pathways for everyone to succeed. So that's just like a broad perspective on how they can be implemented within the organization.
Absolutely, thank you. I like the piece that you talked about really having a people-centered approach to equitable policy making. Oftentimes we, don't really put folks at the center in the organizations, and that sometimes is where the disconnect comes in, So I want to pause here and see if there are any questions in the audience. I see a couple of hands. I am gonna ask the gentleman person in the green? Yep. If you wanna stand and just ask your question, I can Yep, is there a mic? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, can the
Thank you. Amazing. Beautiful panel. My question is, obviously we're in like a new frontier. AI, there's so many technological advancements happening currently. How would you guys recommend that young professionals gain certain tools to better equip themselves for this new frontier, new age in various professions? Thank you.
Station. Thank you for that. That's an excellent question. So we're on a new frontier. AI is right here with us. How do we incorporate that, and how do we better? Is there someone on the panel who would? Jonathan, yes.
Well, just speaking specifically about AI, I think that's the superpower for the entrepreneur, especially if you're starting out on your own. If you want to become familiar with AI tools, that's a really important thing for you to do, especially when you're first starting. You might not have a huge network around you to help support with building your business, but AI is a great way to go about that.
So I can answer a little piece to that. So I would say, there are different levels of AI. So it's just even trying out. There's AI to help you write your resume, right? I think at the basic level, of course, everybody kind of hear about ChatGPT and whatnot, but just be curious around AI. Do not fear AI. So engage in some of those simple pieces. But I would always say around AI is always to think about the human aspect, right? So a big part of my job, for example, is around fundraising. And, I am actually on the side working on an AI to do grant writing. So my own AI platform to do grant writing. So if there's an area of focus, so if you're, let's say, interested in insurance or more, see what apps are out there that's in the AI, that's AI for insurance, So just be curious. Go to different sort of networks. There is, I think it's Elevate. What's the black conference that, I think there's Upseat. Right, exactly. So there's a lot of conferences, Black specific conferences. There's also many great Black tech leaders. I can think of, she's the founder of Tech Spark. So, she's working on AI as well. So there are a few of us in this space doing AI, and it's to sort of connect with us around it. But I'll always say too as well, we must always sort of realize the impact. If we don't get involved in AI, we are going to be further pushed from the margins, because that's the future, and Black communities need to be engaged in AI.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's just about that time. We have time for one more question, and I know that does not give this conversation justice, but what it does mean is that there's a mixer after this. And you can go and find all of the panelists and have more conversations to answer your questions. So I did see that there was one more hand up. And our friend, if you can ask your question, and then we...
Hope this works. Thank you. My name is Walid Kogali Ali, and I'm a proud member of the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Advisory Committee. What a wonderful panel. And Samantha, thank you so much. You asked the question, Walid. So I hope you'll get to share your comments with the panelists. I just want to acknowledge we have Brian from Tridel. We have a couple of developer partners here, and Agapi, who's amazing as an executive director for C. On August 20th, we had an amazing conversation on Undocumented Day. And we talked about the workforce needs of newcomers and refugees. Many of them are also Black members of our community. So my question, and I hope Stephen can answer this question because he's been doing great advocacy on behalf of the youth living in our city, is we have an amazing investment by our federal government through the Canada Summer Jobs Program. A lot of non-for-profit organizations hire youth in our community. In fact, at our neighborhood association, the Regent Park Neighborhood Association, we posted for 10 positions and got 167 applications in less than 2 weeks. That shows the amount of need in our community. We've talked a lot about the rising violence that youth are, youth at risk or youth are involved with across the city, and the interventions we need. One of the things that I'm hoping Stephen can talk about is the employment needs of youth throughout the year. What can the city of Toronto do to ensure that they create employment opportunities for youth in the fall, in the winter, right? And supplement also the youth needs in the summer. So if you could quickly speak to that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you very much for the question. And I think one thing I always criticize about Canada Summer Jobs is, its lack of effectiveness, because much of the organizations, or a good number of them, are not hiring those young people who are furthest from the labor market, are not hiring those Black, Indigenous young people who truly need the employment. It's usually hiring their nieces and nephews and cousins, and it goes back to that whole who you know piece, which is so critical in getting a job. I think what the City of Toronto can do, and something the Toronto Youth Cabinet and our partners, be it TDS, be the Catholic Board, TSAC, and TNG, and many others have been calling for, is a creation of a summer youth employment program to ensure young people have access to meaningful and gainful employment. Yes, in the summer, but also year-round. I think the city, as a corporation, we hire many individuals, but we only hire young people when it comes to parks, forestry, and recreation. We are asking them to move beyond those rec jobs. When we talk about jobs in solid waste management, in the city clerk's office, city manager's office, let's get young people into those jobs. As well as across the city, as a corporation, we have various agencies, boards, commissions that are ready and willing to hire young people, but there's not enough funding to hire them. Toronto Community Housing, and this is the last point because I know time is of the essence, but Toronto Community Housing, they had about 70 to 90 young people they hired for Youth Works program. Exactly, and they had over, I think, 400 and 500 young people who came out dressed up beautifully out there, looking for a job, came out to the job interview. Meanwhile, they didn't even have enough funding to hire those young people. So the City of Toronto, one thing I've been saying this summer, and my team, is all those young people who came out dressed up looking for a job, increase the funding to ensure that all of them get a job. So when those who want a job can get a job. There's much more to say, but thank you.
I just want to say thank you to our amazing panelists. Can we give them a round of applause? Hey. And so, this conversation has been riveting. It's been a lightning fast conversation around what are some tangible, quick win strategies that folks can implement. It means that we actually have to go beyond basic diversity measure and look at equity, moving folks from the margins to the center. And how do we do that? Through policy change, through mentorship, sponsorship opportunities. I want to say thank you to all our panelists in the ways that you show up and do this work. We started the conversation by saying African liberation and how do we meld those things in ways that are tangible, and you live it. I want to say thank you for also having EVAs be a part of this conversation. For us at EVAs, we've really been looking at how do we increase opportunities for young people, and so we're so proud to partner with the Youth Can initiative, Black Youth Can. EVAs was started by a Black Jamaican woman, immigrant, who came here to this country, and we support 200 young peoples each night in shelters across the city. And so for us, there's a parallel in the social determinants of health and how we make this around employment. And so together we need to do this in the spirit of our ancestors, Ubuntu, I am because we are, and how do we collectively do that? Thank you. It's been a pleasure moderating this amazing panel filled with community, and we look forward. I will turn it back over to the amazing Agapi.
Thank you all so much. Let's give them another round of applause. You don't have to sit down anymore. You could go back to your seat. Okay, so that concludes the formal part of the day. After this, we want you to go upstairs, enjoy some food, and network with each other. Again, I want to thank Eva's. Listen, we went to Eva's and we're like, listen, we would love your expertise in this. So thank you for answering the call and putting this phenomenal panel together. Really, truly, we love you. Okay, so I said that I'd be back and I'd be asking for some conspirators and some co-conspirators and some, what was the other one? I don't know. Anyways, accomplices, that's it. Yeah, the getaway car. So get your phones out, and if we could, QR code it. Here's my ask. So at C, we do programming in 5 different industries: information technology, trades, entertainment, hospitality, and finance. I need you to tell your friends who are professionals in these industries that we need people to come and be a part of our advisory committees. We always want to make sure that our programs make sense, that they are true to what is actually happening when they enter into these workforces. There's theory and there's practice. We're not trying to run a university where we think we know. We want to also be able to make it as practical as possible, right? So we want people who work in these organizations who can bring us employer partners to hire our young people, because we're not down with wage subsidy. Please hire them with your money, please. And we want to be able, yes, thank you. I appreciate that clap. I only got one, but you know what? I'll take it. Okay, thanks. So we're looking for folks to become part of our advisory committee. So what does that look like? If you're a professional in your industry, you don't need to be like in HR. So please, hear me when I say that. You just need to be good at the job that you currently have and understand your industry. So if you're in IT and you're in that sphere and you know some folks, you're part of the Black Employee Network, whatever the case is, if you can join, we want you to be able to look at our curriculum, make sure that it's relevant to your industry, make sure that you're connecting us with the certifications we need to be paying attention to, making sure that we're keeping up with trends, and also where are the gaps. So we might not be running a program right now, but we need your expertise to tell us where we should be looking. We know AI is the future. We're looking at what that looks like across all industries that we're doing work in. Those are the type of innovative professionals that we need to come alongside us and work with our programming team. My staff in the room, if you can stand really quickly, the people at C who work at C are absolutely phenomenal, okay? Top notch. So if you want the privilege and the honor of working alongside these folks, please hit us up, let us know, fill this out, take a photo of the QR code, send it to your people, put it on LinkedIn, #BlackYouthCan. Please, 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 we need all of you to surround us in this work, because we can only rely on our community that is around us to propel our young people. I'm asking you, as Sipo gave me a very valuable lesson last night, we need to be able to pass a baton, and I need somebody to be there. I need you to be running with me, and I need somebody to be there to pass it over. Don't drop it, eh? Because we will lose. Okay, thank you all so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, thank you, Agapi, once again. Now you guys will all get compensated with food. So you guys can just head upstairs into where all the tables are, and you guys can have a lunch and network with each other, talk. And yeah, let's do this all together. Quick request for the panelists, Aaron, Sifo, Jonathan, Steven, sorry. And I'm missing someone. And Stashin, yes. Can you please come and get a picture, group picture? That'll be amazing. Thank you. Y'all enjoy.